And talk about the South Gauteng High Court reserving judgment now in President Cyril Ramaphosa's urgent application to interdict his private prosecution by his predecessor, Jacob Zuma.
And Ramaphosa filing those papers to halt Zuma's plans to have him privately prosecuted. Now, Ramaphosa is also requesting the court to excuse him from appearing before it on the 19th as ordered in the summons.
Zuma has accused Ramaphosa of contravening the National Prosecution Act regarding the disclosure of Zuma's medical records by prosecutor advocate Billy Downer and journalist Karen Morn. Ramaphosa's counsel argues that Zuma's private prosecution bid is not in the public interest. Advocate Ngwako Manechi says Ramaphosa's appearance in a criminal court would give effect to the ANC's step-aside resolution, adding that this would also affect Ramaphosa's position as head of state.
Let's get more analysis now on the story and speak to Nthabiseng Dubazana, legal analyst. Nthabiseng, thank you so much for your time. While judgment has been reserved, some analysts in the periphery have been saying that the current president, Cyril Ramaphosa, may have a huge mountain to climb when it comes to the issue of urgency. Listening to the arguments today, do you think his lawyers made a strong enough argument to tell the court what warrants him to jump the queue?
Actually, no, I really don't think that they had a strong argument for urgency. If you even saw the way in which the presiding officers were probing at the issue of urgency to the counsel for Ramaphosa, you can see that they are not, well, at least it's a feeling that I got, that they possibly not as convinced that the matter was as urgent as it is made to be or to appear as if it is. Now, when we look at what urgency is in terms of Section 6, it means that if this is not done as quickly as possible, and I'm not granted this relief that I'm asking from the court with as much urgency as possible, it means the detriment that's going to come is going to be so harsh on me. We therefore request the court to deal with this as expediently as possible, right? So now when we look at what is currently before the court right now, there were so many delays prior to the matter actually being set down for urgency. And now the court is being asked to say that overlook that part, that we took a little bit of a long time to bring this matter before you, but it's still urgent. So that is the first hurdle that they need to jump over before they go anywhere else.
And another issue, though, that also seems to be quite contentious is him seeking to excuse himself from being in court on the 19th. His lawyer suggesting that, should he appear in a criminal court, this may then give effect to a political matter, which is the ANC's step-aside resolution. And now it appears as if this is now where the bone of contention is going to be.
100%. And if we look at what the step-aside thing was dealt with, or how it was dealt with or put into play, it says that once you are charged of a crime, you have to step aside. Basically, by virtue of the summons being issued to the Ramaphosa, he has been charged. Therefore, if we look at their own constitution in terms of the step-aside issue, he should be stepping aside. But be that as it may, there's an argument that both raised that was very interesting and said that, is this court now being asked to excuse an accused person from appearing before the court? And by so doing, remember, if you are summoned to come to appear before a court, a criminal court to be precise, and you fail to appear, a warrant of arrest is automatically going to be issued against you. So is now the civil court being asked to say, don't appear in court and let the criminal court continue with issuing a warrant of arrest against the Ramaphosa? So these are the kinds of things that the presiding officers have to weigh against one another when they come to their judgment on come Monday.
And really that argument hitting hard, as he was saying that it could lead to it being seen as him defying, the court. But that could be precedent setting, won't it be, Nthabiseng, if then they do excuse him, because other accused persons could look into this judgment and actually say that you've done it here, so why not do it in other matters where we could be excused?
Guaranteed. Us as criminal defense attorneys, we would use that with a heartbeat and say, no, but look, the High Court has decided in this matter that this and this can be done in this manner. Therefore, my client is not here today, and we've approached the civil court to say that he can be excused, and therefore there's nothing you can do in criminal court and try and stop my client from appearing. So this is the danger that was also brought to the court, and saying we can't now ask a civil court to make rulings or concede certain things that are supposed to be done within the criminal court aspect. We shouldn't blur those lines of civil and criminal court. Only under very extenuating circumstances can that be done.
And listening to Judge Mulahle telling Advocate Mpofu that for the current President Cyril Ramaphosa, he isn't only relying on the step-aside issue as a harm. His lawyers were also relying on rights, and Advocate Mpofu conceding that Ramaphosa's freedom is a factor that the court must also consider in deciding whether or not to grant this an interdict in his favor. I wonder how much is hinging on these rights argument.
When we look at the limitations section in the Constitution, rights can be limited, Section 36. So this is one of those times where your rights can be limited and can be allowed by the Constitution. In the words of Yanenda Jacob, it's an inconvenience that you have to deal with when you are now being put to answer to crimes that you may or may not have committed. So this is now your opportunity to deal with these things by unfortunately appearing before the court. Those rights, yes, they are being tarnished in one form or another, but they can be permitted in terms of the limitations clause in the Constitution, and also in the manner in which criminal procedure does happen. Those rights are automatically affected as a result of that. So if the civil court were to make any pronouncements on those rights and how they are affected, it will lead into the CPA either having to be amended, or now we're dealing with a situation where we don't know how to deal with these with criminal matters based on the decision that will be done on Monday, or given rather on Monday.
All right, and very briefly in 10 seconds, how do you see this one playing out should the court decide not to grant the urgency? Can it go all the way up, and what does it then mean for the case on the 19th?
If the matter fails on urgency, it means the matter falls away completely. Yes, of course, the president has the right to take the matter either on review and appeal to the higher courts. But in so doing, it doesn't necessarily stop what's going to happen on the 19th. The matter is still on the court roll. It will be called, and if the Ramaphosa is not present to answer the call, the warrant of arrest may be issued against him in the event the decision is not in his favor.
All right, so let's see how this one plays out. Thank you so much, Nthabiseng, for your time. That's Nthabiseng Dubazana, a legal analyst.